talked a little bit about some of the diversity in buyers of renewable energy. So you talked about kind of investment grade retailers purchasing or entering into PPAs, merchant projects, and corporate off-takers. What's the sort of emerging mix? I mean, we've heard a lot of that there's a lot of interest in corporate PPAs, for example, but that there's a real challenge or real barriers or a lack of understanding about how to get that done. Is that what you're seeing from your side?
Yes, because there are a huge number of procurement processes going on at the moment. And there's been a few corporate PPAs kind of announced, but those ones are probably not true vanilla corporate PPAs in terms of ones that are accessible to general corporates. The challenge is that you need to have a retailer in the middle for a lot of them to basically work, because a lot of corporates just want to go to a one-stop shop to have, you know, energy procurement that's linked to a solar farm. Can you just do it in one package? I think that if you can go to very sophisticated corporates who maybe have commodities trading desks, which are probably few and far between, they can probably take their own view. They can hedge, and they can just enter into a straight offtake with a solar farm, for example, without the need to have a retailer in the middle. They see it as a hedge only, but that's not accessible to the vast majority of corporates in Australia. So cracking that corporate PPA nut, I still see as a little bit of a challenge. I mean, it sounds like there's a bit of success getting there. So,
but some work still to be done.
Yeah,
great. I think this top question is an interesting. Oh no, sorry. The second from the top there. When will the CEFC not be needed? I.e., when the large banks are able to provide the finance for all solar/wind projects in Australia. I guess there's that question about even on an individual project, how do you determine, or how does the CEFC think about the bankability and the kind of commerciality, if you like, of a particular project? When are you needed or not?
No, I think it's a really good question. It's a question that we struggle with on a day-to-day basis. We want to make investments that are good for Australian taxpayers, but we also are there to basically look at the challenging projects and transactions. So it is a battle that we do face every day. I think that it would be ideal that one day we're not actually needed. That would be great to get ourselves out of a job, because basically that means the market's functioning perfectly. I think that we're kind of moving towards that. So we see our role as to catalyse investment in the sector so that investors can follow us. Once they do follow, then hopefully we're not needed. At this stage, are we still needed? Yes, unfortunately. There are challenges around what I mentioned before, around uncontracted projects, sub-investment grade retailers, which banks just won't really look at, unfortunately. They probably will look at corporate PPAs because there's good credits behind it, but there's still problems there, like to work that out. So I think that there's still, unfortunately, some barriers there. And then I think that realistically, in order to get to, I guess, that renewable energy system, there'll be problems that will be solved on one side, but then new problems will probably emerge in other areas. So we see that we'd probably move more towards those areas.
Sort of gravitate to the next particular challenge that you want to try and unlock. Really interesting. There's a question up the top here around a dollar amount there. So how close to the end of the 10, I would say billion rather than million, is CEFC now, and what then? Can I just ask a clarifying question? You mentioned before the Innovation Fund. What's the total amount that you've allocated to the Innovation Fund?
I think it's 200 million.
200 million, great. 200 million. And so, but out of the full 10 billion?
Out of the full 10 billion, we've allocated about 4 billion.
4 billion. So still plenty to run out, folks.
Quite a lot to go. And there's also recycling of capital as well.
This is true.
Because we get our loans paid back, we get our investments paid back, which is why it's, I guess, better bang for buck, because one buck gets you further. And just on that, are you able to give an indication or a sense of, say, in the last financial year, the sorts of returns that CEFC has been earning as an institution? That I probably wouldn't be able to comment on specifically. Maybe a question for Ian tonight.
Excellent. I'll ask him tonight. Question here about your mandate, and we've got only 1 minute to go, but are you able to invest in overseas companies?
Our mandate basically states that we need to be predominantly Australian. So in theory it's possible, but there needs to be a large nexus to Australia. So maybe operations in Australia, or it could be Australian investors, or it could be that it's an Australian company maybe looking at things offshore, but there has to be a strong nexus to Australia.
Yes. Great. And probably closer to home, I think there's an interesting question here. What's the CEFC doing in relation to community solar projects and Indigenous solar projects?
We are looking at supporting the Indigenous space, particularly for solar. That is in the residential kind of space, so it is a little bit more challenging because we kind of need to look at, I guess, a portfolio.
Yep.
And also, how do you mitigate all the technological risks associated with each particular site, particularly in very harsh conditions?
Yes.
But it is certainly an area we're looking at. We've been talking to a few different counterparties, and a lot of people have come to us with opportunities. So we're hoping to be able to have something in that space in the next maybe 12 months, I'd say.
Oh, terrific. Watch this space.
Yep.
Great. Thank you, Gloria. Please, guys, join me in thanking Gloria Chan from CFC. Thank you.